Welcome to Danu on Fire, right here on Hi TV, your luxury channel. Today, we're speaking to somebody who's no stranger to the screen. I have Mr. Rajaputhra. What a good name is that? I really love it.
What kind of name is that?
What a fabulous name.
Do you like it?
Yeah. It has royalty in it. So, let's go back to the very beginning. You sort of left Sri Lanka and sort of became a Japanese boy from the age of 7.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My father moved us all to Japan.
Okay.
When I was quite young, and we moved first to Yokohama and then later on to Tokyo, and I schooled there as well. But for higher studies, I moved around. So I've studied in the UK, in the US, and Singapore, and.
Where did you spend the most amount of your time?
I'd say the most would be Japan, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Japan culture is the fact that, it's something that I have always loved. It's the fact that they're all so fast-paced, but they're so put together at any given time.
Right.
As a Sri Lankan, because we come from such an island mindset, we take things easy, we have such a relaxed DNA in us. How was it for you?
Well, it's interesting because Japan's an island too.
Yeah, but they don't live like one.
yeah. But they have a very unique culture of their own. You're never going to find anything like that anywhere else. They're very oriented towards responsibilities and things they need to do, making sure they don't disturb other people. The manners are another level. So for me, say something as simple as driving. It's a very different task in Japan compared to Sri Lanka. So,
of course.
So usually,
you learn your driving here.
Right. So there used to be a time where if I were to visit Sri Lanka, I'd spend the first 2 to 3 days not getting anywhere because I'm not honking, I'm not overtaking, and I'm used to going behind everybody. 3 days later, I'm like, this ain't going nowhere. So you start a little bit, and then 2 weeks into that, you go to Japan, and you go there and you honk at someone, you're like, whoa.
Why did you make that noise?
Right? Exactly.
That is just a prop. We don't use that in Japan.
Exactly. Yeah. Probably in my entire life, no exaggeration, my entire 31 years now I've been in Japan, I probably heard horns, like the total number of times I've heard a honk, definitely less than 10. Guaranteed.
Wow.
Yeah.
We need to go there. We need to honk the life out of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have also been an actor.
That's right.
So tell me about this acting path of yours. Before you stepped into business, you were in that, or was business a part of it?
No. The business I was in since, I was working for my dad since I was very young. First time, I used to follow him around, when you used to go to auctions, because we're in the vehicle export industry from Japan. So I used to follow him around and learn, how that was. And when I was 12, I remember once telling him that I wanted to go by myself, right? And he's like, "You sure you want to do that?" I said, "Yeah, I want to do it. I've seen you do, I can do it." And so I had to take 4 trains and 2 buses, and this was 4:30 in the morning. He wakes me up, gives me this brick-like gadget, which is what cell phones were back then. So I go all the way there, and
you were what, 12?
I was 12, yeah, at the time. And I go in there, and I go to the vehicles that need to be inspected. I check them out. I'm on the phone with him. He's telling me, what year is the manufacturer year? And I'm like, manufacturer. He's like, seat belt. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's in the seat, the little tag. So I'm telling him all this information. I'm lifting the hood.
And you can't even do hands-free at that time.
Right? Yeah. You need both hands for that. And so and then he told me what price range, and we discussed it. And I go in, put the little card, and I'm waiting, because it used to be a big screen, like a window, and cars used to come and you bid for them, and the price goes up, and then you buy. And so I bought my first car, and then I went to another auction, which is like a tender auction. Didn't get that one, but went home, and my dad's all excited. He was like, high five, like, yeah, man, all right. And I was like, all right, good night. He's like, sorry, what? I was like, going to sleep. Didn't you just buy a car? I said, I did. Here's the numbers, sell it. So he made me sit there and call up people and explain about the details and stuff like that. And about 6, 7 calls in, I managed to sell it. Wow. So that was the first time I bought and sold the car. So ever since then, I've been dabbling in his business for a long time.
But so this being in front of the camera, acting a little bit, when did that sort of come into your life?
So this was 2012. The first time I did my first movie. which was called Bavatarana, and we won Best Film in the Delhi Film Festival in India. So prior to that, 7 years prior to that, I go through this back problem that I had. I did 11 years of, sports and martial arts.
Kung Fu Panda. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up with a back injury that was pretty nasty. And I had a very serious condition. I was in pain 24/7, rough time. So, coming out of that, having gone through 7 years, did the surgery and all. And just before that, there had been, the director of that movie had approached my father to produce it. And he asked me, what do you think and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, come on, movies, it's not really our thing, why are we bothering with this? But my dad had gone ahead and decided to do it anyway. And then this director, at this time, my hair's a little grown out. I got a little beard going, a little rough, because I'm not really taking care of myself on a daily basis like that, because I was going through something. And he's like, hey, there's a character in here. That would be perfect for you. This is the look I want.
Untamed look of yours. Yeah, you not going to the salon has helped you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, what role is that? It's like, it's the lead role. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, come on, I can barely walk here, So I laughed it off. And then 2-3 months go by. I do the surgery. And I remember the 3 days after the surgery, I'm walking all around the hospital, because it's the first time I'm walking straight with no pain in 7 years. And then like a week later, I discharge. And I find out this director had started all the shooting and left the scenes
where you
that he wanted me for the role for. And he tells me this, he's like, by the way, just so you know, I left those scenes out. Are you still interested? Like, would you like to do something like that? And by this point, I'm like going into a new life. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, why not? Let's kick it off with a, So I went and did that just out of curiosity.
That was not the only one. You did another one as well.
So I did Nidahase Piyai after that. And then I produced and acted in Piyamana Munisan, the teledrama that's airing on Sirsa right now, actually.
That's amazing. So, yeah. All right, that's just a little brief of the amount of things that he does. Now he runs a very successful business that has brought a part of it here as well. We'll speak more about it when we do come back to around this Danu. Welcome back to the show. It's Danu on Fire. We're speaking to this very multi-talented man. I was going to speak to him about his time doing Kung Fu.
Yes.
How was that? So you're proper trained in it? Fine.
Yeah. And I mean, it was really, it was one of those things that really teaches you discipline and self-confidence and a lot of things that I think that later on in life became very, very important to me. Not just the physicality of it, but the spirituality of it as well.
And the principles that you learn in the process.
And I was this huge Bruce Lee fan too, so that helped.
I'm a huge Kung Fu Panda fan.
Okay.
There's another reason for me. Yeah. Yeah. If I ever go to Universal Studio, he gets a hug.
I see.
Yeah, I'm sure the people who are inside those, they're like, "This is a strange child." But so you bringing your investments to Sri Lanka at a very timely moment, because Sri Lanka needs all the support that we can get to sort of, replace this, reposition this country where it's meant to be.
Right.
What was your thinking when you were coming here and sort of bringing your whole enterprise here? Because I saw a big board just close by.
Right. Well, it's not my whole enterprise.
Just a part of it.
Well, a small part of it,
Okay.
really. Because I'm based in Japan, and we're in the vehicle export industry. I export vehicles to 26 markets worldwide, and I have offices in 11 countries. So, you know, I travel a lot to these different countries, and you know, that's our main business. But over the course of the last year, just over a year, I've started 4 companies here in Sri Lanka. Black Orange Innovative Solutions, Rajaputhra Media, Mutu Villa, which is a nice villa in Kandy, and the Park Street Warehouse, where we are now.
That's true. Now this is the newest baby in the house.
Yes, the newest and biggest of the lot, really. And, you know, it was just, you know, I'm the international director of the Sri Lanka Business Association of Japan. I'm the country representative for Japan on behalf of the Investment Promotions Ministry here. And some of the things we do is we really try to support promoting Sri Lanka and increasing tourism and bringing in investors. You know, those are some of the core things we try to do, you know, in that capacity. Every year we do these different festivals, Sri Lankan festivals that are arranged by the Business Council and the Sri Lanka Association and so on and so forth.
Right.
So we do all these different things, and then here we are facing a time where that is the need of the hour, and nobody wants to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. Even Sri Lankans would rather just, you know,
wait and see. Let's do
or you know, there's plenty I know who sold their assets and just moved to other countries.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something different. You know, there's a lot of people, I get hundreds of messages every day asking for jobs in Japan or different countries. And I'm terrified of what's going to happen here 5 years from now, or, you know, 10 years from now, when, you know, with brain drain. But at the same time, being in Japan with my company's there, my family's there, we're living ghetto fabulous over there, and I'm like, nope, you should stay. I have no right to say that. So I figured if I'm going to ask someone to try for a job here, then I need to create something that's not here. And that was part of the logic behind it. If I'm going to ask someone to invest here, I need to be able to invest here. I started this at a time when iron was 3 times the price, cement was multiple times the price. I mean, everything was inflated to the max. Probably nobody in their right mind would ever tell you to invest at a time like that. I doubt there was anyone who brought in foreign currency
into this country.
I mean, at that time, it's just, you know, more than the amount. I mean, some of these things, this here has been like 450 million easily. And
just to get the finer finishes done.
Yeah, just for this. I mean, there's a good 600 million or so just over. So I mean, but it's not the amount, you know, because I buy vehicles worth that in 2 to 3 days, right? It's just not the amount. It's the timing of that amount.
Yeah.
And we created 150 jobs in the last year, you know, at that point. So today, I get to say. By the way, I also want to take this opportunity to say that this is the 20th year of the Sri Lanka Business Council in Japan, and to benchmark this year, to commemorate this anniversary, I've been put in charge. I'm the international director, so I've been put in charge of a project that I proposed during our AGM, which is, like us, there are business councils all over the world, Sri Lankan business councils, but we have no contact with each other. We don't know what they're doing. We're disconnected. We don't know how many there are. So this year we're trying to connect all those business councils around the world under one umbrella called the GFSLPC, the Global Federation of Sri Lankan Business Councils.
No, that's amazing.
We're having an event on October 9th. Honorable President is invited to that as well, and he's very excited and very keen about this project as well. And we're trying to get everybody together so we can help each other, you know, enter different markets, you know, use each other's resources, networks, all that, because we have a huge potential and capacity. And then also use that unity to promote Sri Lanka, bring in investments, etc., etc. So as a prerequisite to all of that, I wanted to enter into that moment saying, hey, I did something like this on a small scale, but at the worst possible time, and I made it a success, right? you guys have nothing to fear at this point.
Correct.
Come on down, you know?
That's amazing. And it's always good to set the example and then ask them to follow, because it's easier for them to sort of absorb the information. And they're like, okay, so there is hope here, and you can actually make it work.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. And also it's really nice to know that we still have openings and we have moments to celebrate in our country, because this place is not only opening doors to people who are in the restaurant industry, it's also to artists, performers. There are DJs coming in. It's an effect that sort of goes through. Have to say, there's going to be some music coming from him as well. You have all the dots connected, don't you?
Do I?
So you have music coming out?
Sure, I've had a couple of stuff that I've put out, but I mean, I wasn't focusing on that so much.
But now you are.
But I do have a whole bunch of stuff that's
all right. There's a new one coming as well. All right. So when we do come back, we're going to speak about family, and because 5 kids, so that's a lot to handle. But we'll speak more about it when we do come back. Please stick around. This is Danu. Welcome back to the show, our final segment. Got to ask some cool questions from this very versatile man seated next to me. So recently I watched an interview. You made some statements which had a lot of comments pouring down about lifestyle in Japan and how people are so dedicated and work is very strict there. Did you get any feedback after that?
Well, I mean, first of all, nowhere did I advocate for it.
There you go.
I never said that was...
That's the type of life I want you all to live. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely not. Number one. Having said that, though, I was talking about 2 different extremes. You know, how things are there and how things are here. And I think there's a lot of room for improvement in both of these. But let me also add, when people... Because I noticed something, someone was like, well, so, you put family first and your wife first and this and that. Is that not the same for somebody else? Well, certainly, but let me put it, let's be practical. If I were struggling to provide for my family, the way to put my family first is to do that, right? To take care of my family, to take care of my kids, and to try to go for a work-life balance when you're in that situation is not
possible.
It's just
and also it's not a practical thing. Yeah.
So if you've taken the risks, if you've done the time, if you've put in the effort to go into entrepreneurship, which is not easy. I've lost millions. I've lost. There are times where I've had no weekends or days off for months and months at a time, where I'm working 16, 18-hour days. All this stuff that I have now is now.
Yeah.
But I went through a process. My dad went through a process. And then there were times when I took over, because I expanded into all these other markets, and boy, it's no walk in the park. So I went through all that process too. And so I can say what I say today and do what I do today. Someone wants that, then you got to work your way up to that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sacrifices to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell me about life at home. You have 5 kids.
Yes.
Wife. You always give priority to them. How is life at home? How are you at home?
So, my kids range from ages 17 all the way up to 1. And
last time when I met you, she was preggy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, we have 5-year gaps between 3 and 4, and 4 and 5. 4 and 5, that was Corona and all that stuff, COVID, right? 3 and 4, a whole bunch of other stuff going on. If I could go back in time, there'd be 2 more right there.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, I love having. I have 2 sisters.
Right.
And so my sisters are very close, but I didn't have any brothers. I didn't have any of that support, even in the business. I have to kind of figure this out on my own. I don't have anyone to rely on, and so I always wanted like a big family for myself, which I didn't have. So, the next thing I could do is create one. And so having tons of kids and
they're always going to be there for each other, which is always well.
So that's one of the other reasons why we had the 5th one, is because I have 3 boys and my daughter, I didn't want my daughter to be alone. So, and I really wanted the last one to be a daughter because that was the purpose. I named her Divyana before we even knew.
Right.
I'm like, it better be a girl. I mean,
Whatever is happening in there, it's going to be a girl.
has to be. And then it turned out to be, so I was very happy with that.
That's amazing. Because taking all of these labels, being a father, being a husband, being an entrepreneur, running multiple businesses, visiting 700 countries at one time, all of these aside,
Yeah.
when you look at yourself, what would you describe you to be?
Whoa. That's
Deep,
loaded.
deep,
That's
deep,
loaded.
deep question.
Deep question. Look, it's really simple, Danu. I believe that having been born alone, I've won the biggest lottery in the universe. They did this study where they found out that the chance of being born as a human is 400 trillion to 1, right? Which exceeds multiple times any lottery you could ever win. And to be born at a time like this in the internet era and, you know, to be born healthy and in a good part of the world, you know, that's, the chances of that is, you know, almost nil. So I consider myself very lucky and I'm very grateful. And now that I'm here, the only question is, what do I do? And I think it's, at the end of the day, it's all about leaving this world a better place than what you found. And I'm trying to do that through every avenue that I
you
can.
find.
Yes.
Do you find people who are honest and genuine around you? Have you ever been let down by people who you have trusted and given yourself to as a person, or confided in people, and they've just bitten you because, you know, it's a money-hungry world, and sometimes, end of the day, behind those very loving eyes, they could be thinking about something else. Have you been hurt like that?
There are 4 things that my father told me. He said, there are 4 things that can separate the best of friends, that can separate people that you love, that you trust, and completely pervert them. He said one of them is politics, another is religion, another is women, and another is money, right? When it comes to money, I've had friends that I trusted with my life who've run away with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. After I've invested, after I've put them in charge in certain different countries, you know, given them control all over. I mean, based on that kind of trust, and these things have happened. And I'll be let down so many times. And to be honest, you know, if I were in a different position, I might have not made it out like this. But since I had the capacity, I'm okay. But man, there've been more disappointments than you would find that kind of genuineness. So what I've come to do now is eliminate the word trust from the system. So I have systems in place now that don't require trust anymore. The contracts that we have, the legal system that we have, the structures that I've built, you don't need to trust each other anymore. You've both got nukes pointed at each other. So if you go, you all go. And that's the reason why we don't fire nukes at each other, because we'll all go.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only way to go about it. You got to eliminate that out of the system.
It's sad, but that's how life moves, unfortunately.
It is what it is.
Thank you so very much for hosting us.
Thank you.
For your wonderful conversation and everything. And I wish you all the very best, and I really hope you thrive and do great things in Sri Lanka, and keep everything that's creative in you going. And I think that's what adds the spice to your life.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. On that note, we need to wrap things up. Thank you so very much. Do come and check out the warehouse. It's beautiful. Not only that, the food is phenomenal. Everything is amazing. And we will see you soon with another episode of Danu on Fire. Till then, you keep smiling.